If you find yourself getting very easily distracted by all the options that life presents to you, then you'll be glad that you found this video. At the beginning of this year, I adopted a super simple and straightforward approach to journaling and organizing my day so that I can get my thoughts out of my head and onto paper. And without getting distracted by trying to make it look too aesthetic and pretty and beautiful. It's simply effective. So let's take a look at how I do it. I write the date and what day of the week it is, and then right below it, I'll list the biggest task of my day, my priority. In modern society, we've gotten caught up with trying to do so many things at once that we've actually forgotten what the word priority even means. We'll use sentences like, get your priorities straight, which doesn't actually make any sense at all. Priority is a singular word. When we say that we have multiple priorities, what we're essentially saying is that nothing is a priority. Remember, when everything is important, nothing is important. I found that in the past, if I listed too many large tasks within the day with smaller tasks surrounding it, I would always tackle the simple, easy to do tasks first. And I'm sure you do the same thing because it leaves you with a sense of accomplishment. I'm like, damn, yeah, I'm actually doing something today, when the major task that I'm supposed to be doing is sort of just sitting there, and I keep putting it off by thinking that I'm completing stuff that actually matters when it doesn't. With this system, I know that my most important task is always right at the top of my list, so I can't avoid it by doing the simpler tasks around it. To list my tasks, I use a very similar key to that of the original bullet journal method. So I'll use a bullet for a task, a line for a note, a diagonal line for a task that I've already started and is in progress. But once I've completed a task, instead of just crossing it off, I like to create a solid box around it. This way, it gives me a much bigger sense of accomplishment, and it also makes it a lot easier when I'm glancing over my week or over my month to see how many of my tasks I'm completing and how many I'm skipping over or postponing until the following day. Otherwise, it sort of just looks like a list of tasks with a whole bunch of lines, and it's quite difficult to distinguish what you have completed and what you haven't completed by simply glancing at it. It's essential that I maintain the same system throughout my journal so that I don't sort of scratch stuff off one day, check it off another, underline important stuff, put exclamation marks here and there, because it ends up becoming just a sort of blurry mess and defeats the purpose of it being very simple and easy to understand. And if you keep the same system, it'll be in your subconscious and you'll immediately know what you have done, what you haven't done, and what the heck is going on with your life. The reason that I've started using my journal this way is that it doesn't make journaling seem like a task in and of itself. I think that's a very big reason why a lot of people aren't consistent with their journals, is because honestly, it's just too much work. It's a bloody hassle. Like I said, I wanted to make this as simple as possible so that it doesn't take too much time out of my day, sort of just like brushing my teeth in the morning. It's a quick, simple task that takes a couple minutes and I don't even have to think about it. At the end of the day, I'll write some notes about my day and how I was feeling. 1 or 2 sentences here is more than enough. Again, you don't want to over-explain everything and write a ton because then you feel obligated to write a lot. Some days I won't even do this at all. It completely depends on how my day went or how I was feeling. This just really helps me clarify why some days I'm completing more tasks than others. Maybe something came up, maybe I wasn't feeling well, maybe I was struggling to focus. But don't mistake this as a section for excuses just to explain yourself out of not actually doing the work. I try to be as transparent and honest with myself as possible here so that at the end of the month I can go back and have a look at my sentences throughout the month and see what was the major thing that was getting in the way of me completing my work, what seemed to be the biggest obstacle that I was facing, and then I can tackle it honestly at the end of the month and try and improve on it the following month. If we're not honest with ourselves and we don't reflect enough, we won't actually notice the major obstacle that is stopping us from succeeding in life. And it can be so easily overlooked if you're not consciously analyzing your actions and what you're doing on a daily basis. I'll also occasionally write a weekly review to see how my week went as a whole. Sometimes day to day is very short term and we can't really see what's happening because some tasks and some projects that I'm working on aren't simply day-to-day tasks. They do take multiple days. So if you check in with yourself at the end of the week or at the end of the month, you can see how much progress you've made on a bigger project throughout multiple days, weeks, months. This gives me a way to check in on myself, not just with the stuff that I'm not getting done, but some of the stuff that I'm actually accomplishing. It's important that we take time to appreciate our successes. Often we're very critical of ourselves and we dwell on the negatives and the stuff that we're not getting right and the stuff that we're not accomplishing. But when we do achieve something or get something right, we sort of just zoom past it and look for the next achievement or the next task and the next goal. And it leaves us forgetting that we're actually pretty cool sometimes. That's how I organize my life and my thoughts on a day-to-day basis, on a weekly basis. But the journal is designed to work on a monthly and yearly scale as well. So at the beginning of each month, I'll clear a page for the name of the month, and then on the following page, I'll write down the days of the month vertically as my calendar. I feel like I have PTSD from the standard calendar format. It just leaves me with a sense of anxiety, and it seems very squished up and I can't really see what's going on. So by writing my days of the month vertically, it sort of seemed like a progress bar that I'm getting through as I get through each day of the month, sort of turning my life into a game. So by seeing the progress bar on each day as you complete the day and you complete your tasks, it makes you feel pretty good. Then obviously if I have stuff throughout the month that I need to get done, I'll write it down next to each day. And then below that, I'll just have a small section for tasks that haven't really been assigned a day in the month just yet, but I still want to get done sometime throughout the month. On the opposite page, I have a super simple habit tracker that correlates with the days of the month on the left-hand page. And then for each habit, I just have the first letter of the habit at the top of the page. I have these all stored up in my head, what each habit is. But if you think that you'll forget what the habits are, if you have multiple habits that begin with the same letter, just write a key somewhere in your book, in the back of the book. Then every day that I complete a specific habit, I'll just place a dot next to whatever it is that I've completed. You can do this at the end of the day all at once, or as you complete specific habits throughout the day, you can check it off. I'll track everything from my sleep habits to the vitamins and the stimulants that I consume. I really like seeing the cause and effect relationship between my habits. For example, on the days that I don't get 7 or more hours of sleep, I'll notice that I'll have to supplement with caffeine the following day, or I'll have to take a nap. If I consume alcohol, it's likely that my sleep will suffer that night. Or if I don't get enough greens and vegetables, then I'll usually experience a lot of daytime tiredness the following day, and I'll need a nap anyway. It's all very fascinating to me. I love experimenting with my mind and my body and my habits, and just being really analytical with how my life goes, sort of treating myself and my life as an experiment. It's so cool. I really recommend that you try it as well. Below that, I'll have the goals that I've set for myself for the month. I won't really have more than 2 to 3 major goals, because then I feel like it becomes too diluted and you sort of can't really focus on what your goals are. You just have this huge list of tasks to complete and goals to achieve every single month, and it becomes really overwhelming. And that's pretty much it. Oh wait, I do have one other thing. If I flip my book over, I have a brain dump section that I've created at the back of the book. This isn't really that important, but on some days I'll have ideas that pop into my head and don't really fit into my daily schedule or immediate goals, so I need somewhere to put them. I found that what happens with me is that if I don't write these ideas down, they sort of float around in my head, taking up cognitive processing power that could be used on the task that I'm doing. But when I write them down, I sort of like free up that workload from my head, and I've put it in a place so that I know that I won't forget about it. I think it's my subconscious mind worrying that I'll forget about that thought, so it constantly works on it in the back of my head. But by writing it down, sort of frees me of that stress, and then I can get back to whatever I was working on right then and like have complete full focus on that task without getting distracted. And plus, sometimes I have no thoughts in my head and I'm completely dead brain. And that's when I'll go back to this inspiration board or brain dump, whatever you like to call it, and find something that popped into my head a few days, few weeks, months back, and then work on that, or have that as a starting point to then work from to create new ideas. And that pretty much concludes how I've set up my journal. Obviously, you don't have to do it the same way at all. Whatever works for you, but I found that by keeping it as simple and minimal as possible, it makes me consistent with journaling. The more complicated and extravagant that I make it, it just becomes this huge thing that I have to tackle every single day. So by making it simple, I don't have to think about it at all, and I can get it done. If you're thinking about starting to journal, don't go overboard, because you'll have this overwhelm in your brain that this is such a big undertaking to just start journaling, which it shouldn't be. It should be simple and effective and used as a tool, which is what it is, so that you can get the shit that needs to get done. I also just leave my journal on my work desk, so at the moment I walk towards my desk, I notice it and I use it, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, I probably won't use it. It's the problem that I've had in the past with to-do apps and lists and notes, is that I kind of forget about the actual tool. So if I have an app, I'll just forget to open the app, and then shit, all my tasks go out the window and I have nothing left to do. So by leaving it in a prominent place that I can see every single day, I can hold myself accountable to approaching it and doing it. Eventually it just becomes like one of the habits that you're tracking, and you don't even have to think about it, and it just works. And that's it. If you guys have any questions or have better suggestions, or maybe you think my idea sucks and the way that I'm doing this is completely wrong, let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you agree, maybe you have a different thing that works for you, but I'm curious to see what works for you. If you like the video, hit the like button. It does help. Share it with your friends. Maybe they can benefit from this as well. And hit the subscribe button. because you guys are wonderful and I want to see more of you around here. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.